What? Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.
What's up, Fantasy Points? This is the DFS cage match, week 3, every week of the NFL season, or just about every week. Myself and Jake Tribby are here. We bring on a rotating guest every week, and then we compete against each other. We draft teams on DraftKings within the salary cap. It's a snake draft, and I usually win, and that's just how it goes here. We play for charities, and generally my charity is going to get the money. Happened again this week, as you can see on the screen, but we play for charity, and Fantasy Points will donate $100 to the charity of the winner's choice every single week. We start with the guest, of course, having the first pick or getting to choose their draft spot. So again, this is a snake draft, but we'll make that decision in a minute here. We'll go over the charities. Tyler can think about it, make his decision right before we get started. Emo Cowboy is here with us. He is the guy above me on the screen. Tyler, how are you doing today?
One of the few instances I'm not below you, and that's nice. Nice change of pace, but doing great, boys. How we doing?
I'm good. Jake, how are you doing? After seeing my tweet, I mean, that must have hit you pretty hard. For the record, 0 times in 18 weeks have I gotten third place in the cage match. Overall record against all competitors of 29-7 for an overall win rate of 80.5%. 80.6% actually is where you'd round it to. Jake, how you feeling after seeing that tweet?
Yeah, I kind of wonder how is that even possible. It makes me think back to I believe it was Brick75 who said that you can theoretically run hot or run bad forever, and I feel like that might be what's happening here. Because so. Every week, I'll run the projections. We're all very, very close. There really shouldn't be a significant edge in a contest like this, but somehow Neil has found it. So we draft for charity, but it seems to mostly be Neil's charity followed by the guest's charity. And I really hope no one from any of the charities that I have represented has ever watched this show, because they would probably be quite disappointed.
Well, the nice thing is you never change your charity. So because you never win, you're just playing for the same charity every week. So it's just Friends of North Augusta every single week. Yeah, hopefully they're not watching the show.
Hopefully.
Some would say the real charity is just, Ryan getting his ass pounded every week. And just
Jake getting his ass. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Brain fried, guys.
Yeah. These young guys at Fantasy Point, they're all the same. But yeah, it's Jake. Of course, Ryan got his ass kicked last week as well.
I'm just used to all the nerds getting stuffed in lockers, and
exactly.
One nerd looks like another nerd, and it just,
they all look the same. Exactly. Although I do like Jake's UFL hat. So, or actually, it's not UFL, that's USFL, right?
Yeah, this is a throwback. This is a Philadelphia Stars hat. So
actually,
we'll see how they do with reformatting the league, but I feel like I'm going to end up with a lot of spring football merch that is no longer applicable, which makes it cool, vintage, throwback.
Wait. I haven't even heard this. They're reformatting the league?
Potentially, I have heard talks, Neil. Obviously, I am deep in these circles. That they may get rid of a lot of the USFL teams. They're moving at least one team to Columbus. Ooh, we got a vintage hot. Houston Gamblers right there.
That is hot.
That is really, really nice. I like that a lot, Tyler.
Yeah.
That is.
OG scooped this at a recent vintage store a couple weeks ago. So I was like, oh yeah, this is the perfect time to unveil it.
That is very, very nice. Obviously, me and Neil are always extremely tempted to derail any show we're on with nonstop.
Yeah, we just want to talk spring football. Yeah. Jake was just sharing with me, Tyler, that apparently they might be reformatting the UFL this year, which I had not heard. I'm very into the UFL for about 3 months of the year, and that's about it. And then I forget that it happened after that. Whereas Jake is just in all the time. He's like one of the people that like people follow on Twitter. He's like one of the biggest Twitter follows for UFL people. Whereas I just fade into other stuff as soon as the season is over.
It's how I knew about Monte Turpin a couple years ago before the Dallas Cowboys signed him.
There you go. I'll get you way ahead of the market on like one guy who's a good 18th round pick every maybe 3 years.
I draft him every year in my my home league because we give bonus points for return and kick return yardage. He's always a cheat code.
He's good in actual fantasy this year. He this past week scored a touchdown, I believe, had like 14, 15 fantasy points. He was one of my favorite sleepers in best ball. And Jake and I talked about it. It was a short on my channel, our conversation about Cavante Turpin this year.
It was a good one. Yeah.
Do we have any UFL converts this year, Jake? I can't think of any that have become like good in.
I
usually
know
fantasy,
Jacob
right?
Sailors was returning some kicks for the Lions.
Yeah, but nobody was like relevant in fantasy.
Yeah. I mean, it even took Turpin a few years to become,
Yeah.
fantasy relevant. He really stood out on special teams. So,
Yeah.
We will. We should probably stop talking spring football.
All right.
That is not the theme of the show as much as I want to.
We'll get into it. So we're going to go over our teams and we'll talk about ours. And by the way, Tyler, we're going to ask you to talk about Ryan's team and tell us how you think he drafted here with his third place team. But before we do that, we should get into the charities, talk a little bit about who we are playing for today. I'm playing for Rough Start Refuge, which is just a local rescue here in Minnesota, where I know people who work there. I know they do good work. Love to support a good rescue. Sorry, that's who I played for last week, so they're getting $100 from last week. This week, I'm playing for Mid Minnesota Legal Aid, which I interned there one summer during law school. Is it called interning? It might be called something different, but anyway, I worked there for one summer during law school. They do good work for people who can't afford legal help and need legal help. Good people. They do great work. So playing for Mid Minnesota Legal Aid this week. And then Tyler, you are playing for Houston Humane Society. Do you have any special connection to the Humane Society? Why are you playing?
Yeah, so this is who I was playing for last year when I let the Humane Society down with just an airball brick of a Cole Komet. And so yeah, we've adopted 2 of our 3 pups from the Houston Humane Society. The third was from the Baytown Humane Society. So a very, very special, near and dear charity to us. We donate every year. So love to keep them, keep them pups fed and well sheltered here in the Houston heat that is unforgiving. They do some great work.
Very cool. I'll always love supporting any kind of organization that is supportive of pets. Jake, you are playing for North Augusta Animals. Again, similar thing here.
Yeah, absolutely. Great local animal charity by me. I'm located in Augusta, Georgia. So yeah, this is a fantastic charity that hopefully I will eventually win $100 for. Love supporting our animals out there.
One day they'll get your money. All right, that's it for those are the charities we're playing for. And now we can talk about how things went last week. And I'm going to start by showing this is Ryan's lineup from last week. And I got to say, I felt like it was really good. I was pretty nervous about Ryan's team here. Did not come through for him. Ended up getting third place. Tyler, what do you think went wrong for him? Was it bad just from the beginning, or did he just have bad luck?
No, I mean, obviously run bad anytime Derrick Henry actually scores like his haters and losers say he scores. As Lamar just becomes this new age Peyton Manning via the air. And then, just tough scene with the fake Schadenfreude Hollywood Brown doing what all of his haters and losers say he is, which is nothing more than a scam artist that got bailed out with a busted coverage touchdown or near touchdown the previous week. So you hate to see it. And then, Shaheed better in your return leagues, scoring typically. And then, just the infamous Brian Thomas drop. I mean, literally, this is just 3 guys letting down our boy Jake, or our boy Ryan. See, that's what messed me up. I read the guest name, and now you've got it on screen, and I'm Ron Burgundying the fuck out of this. Just a lot of tough run bad, which is ironic because Tillman ends up bailing out with a late touchdown before bricking out. So this could have been even worse. Anytime Allen snowflakes, this is truly like an impressive run out.
It really is. Yeah, this is I saw the team and I was like, I would have thought it would project way better than mine. I didn't actually look at any kind of projections here. But yeah, some tough run out there. Jake, you managed to get second place. So close. You were within 2 points of me. You needed 1 interception or something from the Panthers defense to recatch me at the end after I took the lead. Didn't quite get there. But how do you feel about the team? How do you feel about your draft?
Yeah, I mean, almost exact same story as last week, Neil, where I was leading for most of the day and then you pull ahead, pretty much at the end of the slate with a couple Trey McBride catches, and I just couldn't get enough from the Panthers defense. Huge bummer for Justin Fields to get concussed only with 5 points. He obviously projected as a really strong value. Loved all my running backs here. The Kyron Williams stuff was pretty frustrating. I know Blake Corum got his standard third drive of the game, and then he also got some playing time in garbage time and ended up stealing a touchdown there. So that was pretty frustrating. Also a little disappointing that the Lions scored 52 points and Jahmyr Gibbs only managed 19 DraftKings points. Wide receivers performed roughly as expected. Obviously, I would have hoped for a little bit more out of Pearsall and Calvin Ridley, but Puka Nacua just absolutely dominated. I mean, he's looking like he's going to break fantasy this year. I actually tweeted out a chart of wide receiver / tight end expected fantasy points per route versus actual fantasy points per route. And Puka Nacua was not included because it threw off the scale of the chart so much that it would have made it impossible to read the names. He is that far ahead of everybody else in fantasy points per route run. And then, Jawan Johnson was just a fantastic value and a guy that I played a lot of in my own DFS lineups. So yeah, I like the team. I just wish I had scored 2 more fantasy points is really my only complaint.
Yeah, that would have been very helpful for you. Just get 2 more fantasy points. I also wish ultimately that Justin Fields had not been concussed for selfish purposes, because I have him on so many eliminator teams that are going to get eliminated with no JJ McCarthy or Justin Fields or Joe Burrow or Brock Purdy or possibly Jaden Daniels this week. So I could have used him sticking around. But yeah, hopefully he returns soon. I went a little bit off board here with Mac Jones I think I took him with the 2nd overall pick because he was just such a great value, point per dollar value, that I took Mac Jones, shocking the world with it, and ended up working out really well, getting a lot of points out of Mac Jones. Of course, Chase Brown only 8.5 for me, pretty bad. I felt good generally with I went with a mega stack of the Cincinnati-Jacksonville game. Not everybody was going to hit, but had a couple decent scores there with ETN and Higgins, kind of some failures with Chase Brown and Travis Hunter. The Dallas guys were looking pretty bad there for a while, but ultimately in the end, sort of, did well enough. CeeDee Lamb 23 fantasy points, George Pickens 18. And then, McBride did just enough to take it home. So ultimately have to feel good about pulling down a second W and being undefeated on the season in the cage match. We'll see if I can continue it this week against the young bloods here. I guess Tyler, you're 30. You're not actually that young. What you're just 30, right?
Neil.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
You used to be a young blood, but now you are 30. So
I will. You know what? I let it be known. I am not as young as many of my co-hosts or as a guest on streams, but I will run laps around you young boys because this spirit does not stop. Let it be known. Let the record reflect.
And I would like to say the exact same thing. These guys younger than me, but I will run laps around these two, particularly in the cage match. Tyler, you get to choose where you draft, and you can keep in mind that Jake gets to go first of the two of us. I don't know if that's going to affect your thought process because Jake makes a lot of bad decisions. Obviously, if you look at his record, so maybe that could affect where you want to draft. But yeah, it's up to you where you'd like to draft.
Yeah, this is tough because there's 3 guys I really want here, but I'm not sure if I think I picked one last time. And then getting on the turn is fine, but you got to kind of time things. You know what? I'm gonna sandwich myself in the middle with 2, and do a little charity of my own and give the first pick away. I think little good karma can't hurt here in week 3.
All right, I wasn't listening because I was retweeting. Did you say you're going to go third?
Pick 2, my lord.
Oh, you're going to pick 2. Okay, Jake.
I love that just empty look at Neil, and it's like, man, it's like when I'm talking about work with my wife.
I had to do the Twitter retweet thing. I was like, oh god, I'm behind in this. I need to retweet, and then I just totally lost.
Guys,
track
don't forget. Let the record reflect. He did say he would run laps around us as he looked through us, and didn't hear what we said.
Yeah, no, I did not hear a single thing that you said. But Jake, that means that you get to go first. Have you given any thought yet to what you want to do?
I was giving some thought to what I wanted to do. I sort of imagined going in that I would not get the first pick. So this is throwing me off a little bit.
I wanted to throw you off your game. I spoke you thought you were going to get 2 or 3. Yeah. So I kind of want to I feel comfortable being uncomfortable. The rest of y'all, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. And just to clarify the swap rules, I feel like this is also good for the audience, but as well as me for this particular pick. If, I draft someone who ends up getting ruled out and I am unable to swap off. Okay. Let me say this. If it's a 4K quarterback, would I have to swap to a guy who's going to get a 0 if there are no other 4K quarterbacks around? Or can I do
You
a
have to say-
2v2 with my last pick?
Good question.
Because with a defense, I feel like it's easy to be like, oh, there's no, 2,200 defense left. You got to do a 2v2. If it's a 4K quarterback,
So, gentleman's agreement, we could leave the only other 4K quarterback on the board for you to tuck your tail and swap to.
well, they're both pretty good picks is the problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do a
think-
gentleman's
I feel
agreement
like
here.
Neil.
One of
wants
them's a
to-
great pick. One of them,
Yeah.
dubious. food.
So if
Yeah, that's a good
I
question.
think you. So I've advocated in the past for a 2v2, but I believe I was voted. That was voted against, and we decided on just a 1v1 swap.
Okay, well, we could also change the rules for this week because it's 3 homies right here.
So you want the rule to be you can make a 2v2 with your final selection and your injured player.
There are no players for a 1v1 swap that project for more than 0 points.
Okay. Deal.
Is that reasonable? Deal? Okay,
I'm fine with
Tyler,
that.
are you okay with that as well?
Yeah, I'm not going to saddle you with Jalen Milroe and
Okay.
I'd love to say no. It'd be really fun for the bit, but it's also pretty rough to just kick a man while he's down for 3 years in a row. So yeah, no, go for
Exactly.
it.
I mean, Chris just made a great point in the chat. The rules should probably be changed specifically for me, just to get the money for Friends of North Augusta.
Can we call it the
Animals.
Jake Mercy rule? Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
I think this is very reasonable. Anyway, now that this conversation has come to a head, I'm going to take Marcus Mariota first overall.
great pick.
All right.
Yeah,
Jake
Jane
Cohen.
Daniels looking very, very questionable this week. I don't think he goes, but I did want to make sure that we clarified everything before I made this pick. Because if not, I probably would have gone Wentz. But the value here is just absurd right now in the fantasy points projections. He's almost projecting for 5 fantasy points per dollar, which is very, very extreme. In some ways, this kind of feels like a Week 18 slate where we have, Tyrod Taylor, we have Carson Wentz, we have Marcus Mariota, tons of quarterback value, especially under 6K in general. So this is a very interesting slate. It's going to be very easy to pay up at running back and wide receiver. Glad I was able to snag Mariota number 1 overall.
That's interesting. Mariota projects so well on this one.
Rushing baby. I mean, they use him just like Jaden in the run game.
Yeah, great pick. Hopefully that's enough to get you into second place this week, Jake. Once again, I believe you have been second place in both weeks so far. This season. So hopefully we can continue that for you. Just running mid. I am of course going to go with the other 4K quarterback. I'll take Carson Wentz.
Are you Neil?
Wait, you're going second. Oh, yep. Okay.
That's okay. You can run laps around this. No, it's okay. You'll still
That's
get your pick because I was torn here between a Mariota play and the other greatpick.com on the slate with Aaron Jones out and the recent bell cow news. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Jordan Mason here at 5,400 as my RB1.
Yeah, that would have been my other pick if it had gotten back to me. Hard to argue with Jordan Mason. The quote's pretty awesome. Like, yeah, we're really comfortable with Jordan Mason being the bell cow. Love that for Jordan Mason. I think he's looked pretty good so far. The Vikings offensive line just gives him like 0 holes. Like he's doing well when he has a little bit of room. He's just like often does not have any room.
What I'm hopeful about is that Darisaw did get in a limited practice today. Maybe the line gets a little bit stronger by the weekend, but ultimately it's a volume play, right? And Cincinnati defense is one of the worst units in the league right now. They're not exactly, keeping anybody at bay. We've seen every running back have some really good plays against them, and they're also missing their star quarterback. So wouldn't surprise anybody if this was, just an offense on both sides that run a lot through their RBs. And Jordan Mason get a little bit more pass work than we think because they just signed Cam Akers. So if there's going to be a week where Jordan potentially gets like all the work, it's a week where really no one that they trust on the roster to practice a full week is here. So Cam Akers might get a little bit of work, but I'm hoping and praying this week that it's more of like a 85-90% Jordan Mason usage.
What do we think of the fact that Cincinnati's defense has been like pretty good against the run so far this year? Like that's totally counter to my expectations for their defense in general. But So far in the year, just 3.7 yards per carry, 188 total rush yards are allowed through 2 weeks. They've been like just not actually, giving up tons of running volume. Do you think that's just a fluke through 2 weeks?
Well, it's funny that both times you've had me on, we've talked about, is it fluke or is it real? So this is a good segue. I personally think it's a testament to just how poor the offenses that they've seen to date. Like two not great offensive lines, two not great running games.
Yeah.
But we have seen explosive plays from the running backs. It's just not consistent, and I think you can attribute that to somewhat of the state of the other running games. It seems like they are giving up a lot via the pass to the running backs, and I'm far more interested in that personally for fantasy.
Okay. Jake, do you have kind of the same thought? Probably a fluke.
Yeah, that was largely what I was thinking. I also think this pass defense is so bad that teams just aren't really prioritizing the run a ton.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. But
yeah,
maybe
Burrow's
the Vikings
on the
will.
other side of the offense. You're like, do we really want to ground and pound right now? And now there's Jake Browning, maybe a little less afraid.
Yep. I am going to go with Carson Wentz. By the way, I see people in chat are asking some season-long questions and then asking whether we answer questions. I mean, this is a DFS focus show, so here and there, I've seen Tyler in chat answering some of the questions. Man of the people, we usually do try. Just we started and we had like 5 people right away asking us questions. I'm like, well, I can't get to that because I have to focus on hosting the show. So it's going to be tough for me to answer the questions. But if they come up and they're like questions that are easy to answer, we try. But this is just a DFS focus show, so no promises there. All right, so I'm going with Carson Wentz, and then I have a second pick to make. Also, got to think about this. I mean, I would have loved to get Jordan Mason. So yeah, great pick. Tough to argue with that. Don't think I'm buying Javonte yet. Leaving for one of you guys. Ooh. Do I go with? No, I don't love the matchup there. There's not a ton of like clear like best options today. It does feel like it's pretty flat, which is part of the reason I went with Wentz first. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. That's, I mean, looking at this slate, I feel like I wrote up. So, I helped Scott Barrett out with his weekly slate breakdown. Quarterback, there's a ton of great options. Running back, I wrote up like 6 guys that I liked. And then I was like, there's no one else who's like even that reasonable. And then wide receiver, I haven't really started on a ton of research, but just looking at the top values, it feels like it's going to play out pretty similarly to running back, where there's a handful of top guys that are very clearly great plays. And then there's a bunch of guys that I don't have a lot of interest in, but when you submit a lot of DFS lineups, you are unfortunately going to have to play.
Yeah. So I went with a pay down option. I'm actually going to pay up right away. And he's not even the best like point per dollar value here. I just, tough to see it failing. I'm going to go with Bijan. We're going back to calling him Bijan Robinson after he says he's totally cool with. He actually likes being called Bijan apparently. So I will go back to Bijan against Carolina. Just tough to see him not getting at least like 15 against Carolina, and the ceiling is pretty high. What do you think? I mean, I know he's not the best point per dollar play, but to me, he feels like really high floor in this matchup.
Oh, yeah, this is a great spot against Carolina. Single softest schedule adjusted defense last year, bottom 10 this year in pretty much every run defense metric as well. Atlanta also favored pretty significantly here. Really good spot for Bijan. I also have a lot of respect for players, Alvin Kamara being another one, who say, you can pronounce my name however you like. So
I didn't hear that one. That's funny.
Yeah, he said Kamara or Kamara. He doesn't care. Whatever floats your boat. So I like that.
Real alphas don't care what you say or think about them, and I respect
exactly.
that.
You know what's funny about Kamara? I only know that I've always pronounced it Kamara because he was, so when I won the Millie Maker, I did an interview with Alex Baker after it, like just talking about the process and stuff. And I believe I called him Kamara or whatever. I pronounced it wrong on the show. And then I saw somebody on Twitter after I did the interview was like, people always pronounce Kamara's name wrong. It's like Camaro. So I've always remembered it because I was like, I think this guy's calling me out for saying the name wrong. So that's just like, that's one that I've just like got it in my head. It's like Camaro. It's not like camera. It's like Camaro. So I've always remembered it as being Kamara, but now apparently just doesn't even matter how you pronounce it. That is, that's good to know.
Nothing matters. Eat Arby's.
Yeah. Right on. Okay. We are back to Tyler. You have Jordan Mason. Who else do you want?
Yeah, this is tough because it's like I'm in a similar boat of you and kind of what we're talking about, where it's like there are players I like, but at the same time, it's like price, usage, all that good stuff, and I I'm gonna get slightly cute, and I'm gonna go. Yeah, I think I just got to go JT. JT's usage and his price is just so strong. The matchup is really solid. He's just seeing much better usage with Daniel Jones right now. And, the heart wants CMC with all those delicious touches and targets, but, it's an offense that's having a lot of injuries. It may still have Mac Jones, who could implode at any moment. And, it's just when I can save $1,000 and still get really similar usage right now with a player who looks like he's just absolutely blowing the doors off of, every metric. He's explosive. He's getting all the usage. The offense is cooking. It just feels like a really solid pick amongst some flat tiers. And I think he's probably this might. He's only getting more expensive as he continues to. The one fear you have is like getting vultured at the goal line. It's going to happen, but his pass game involvement is pretty great, and it's not like CMC is getting insane red zone usage himself right now. So that's what makes me a little bit solid taking him over CMC here with my second pick.
I was questioning for a second when you said getting vultured at the goal line, like who, but then it's Daniel Jones. Okay, like JT like comes in like he was. I was listening to the show with Gretsch, and they were talking about how he like had like a 60-yard run and then was in on the next play, which is like when you usually expect the backup running back to come in. Didn't backup DJ Giddens just dead. One of my highest drafted running backs in best ball, just not going to get any work. But yeah,
Not
Daniel Jones.
This team can just blow. Neil, be more creative. This is all about. First of all, they gave him usage whenever it was like. This is the Eagles' light. They're going to blow some teams out, and Giddens is going to get the mop up duty in a whole quarter as an explosive play, and get there, buddy. This is how you win.
Good. All right, you still think he's going to get there? He'll get that work in the fourth quarter. Yeah, I need to see some of that from Giddens. I could use that help there. All right, back to Jake. Back-to-back picks. You got the $4,000 quarterback. You have $5,750 left per player. What do you want here?
Yeah, I have a lot of room to work here. I also feel like Tyler kind of helped me out a little bit with this decision. I was going back and forth between JT and Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to go with McCaffrey, leading all players at all positions in expected fantasy points per game. Hasn't been particularly efficient, and we might get another Mac Jones start this week, but really not too worried about it when he could push for 8 to 10 receptions in a given game and another 12 to 15 carries on top of it. The workload is just so good. And then my other pick here, I'm going to go with Rome Odunze at just 5,300. I wasn't sure if he was going to last this long, so I feel really happy with this start. Third among all wide receivers in expected fantasy points per game. He's looked really good. I know he's popping in a lot of our average separation score stuff. Just seems like a focal point in this Ben Johnson offense. And I know, generally speaking, looking at this DFS week, this is a week where, this Dallas-Chicago game is going to dominate ownership a little bit like maybe Cincinnati and Jacksonville did last week, but probably to a more extreme extent. Both of these defenses are terrible. The total here is massive. Everyone's pretty affordable as well. Dak Prescott's only 5,900, Caleb Williams 5,400. Lot of great places to go in this game, and I think Odunze is going to end up as probably the highest owned receiver on the slate, or at least top 3.
Nice. Yep. Nice price tag on Odunze. Maybe the wide receiver one there now. Now we're going back to and Tyler, do you have any comments on Jake's picks?
Yeah, I came in with 2 guys in mind, and I've missed out on both. So tough scene, Rome. Yeah, I think Rome is a lot like one of those guys where it's like like Jawan last week, or it's like their price does not reflect their role because there's like uncertainty. But right now with the role, they'd have to run so insanely bad to not return value at cost. And yeah, it's extremely bullish. And like you said, it's one of the few games with a huge blowout potential. And Ben Johnson has no reason to go away from what's working right now with I don't expect any really schematic changes, philosophy to change until coming out of the bye week. And until then, it seems like Rome is going to be a really, really strong play.
Yeah. And then it's back to you. You've got 2 players in, 53.42 left per player.
Yeah. Man, missing out on Rome sucks. But I think I'm going to take a. I think I'm going to take a similar type of player, slightly more expensive. I'm gonna go JSN. JSN's usage really, really strong. Price still really, really solid for what we're seeing. He's kind of the focal of the offense. They're gonna play the hapless Saints, and that offense is already having a lot of injuries to its offensive line. So an already poor offensive unit is just getting more banged up. So the Seattle defense is gonna give even Sam Darnold a ton of chances to make it work. And so really like JSN's odds to have another soft pass the matchup, get a lot of usage. Famously, DraftKings is PPR, so feels like a really solid wide receiver here, given the price.
Yeah, JSN, definitely somebody that I was eyeing also at that price tag. Still feels a little bit too cheap. Scott Barrett referring to JSN as mini Puka in his usage this year, like looking like it could be a big step forward for JSN this year. And so far looking really good. All right. It is on to me. Let's see. I have a couple players in mind. I think I'm gonna. Zach Charbonnet is I think questionable, or he at least was limited in practice today. I think Kenneth Walker could continue to just be the main guy here in Seattle as we were expecting, and also playing the Saints. So I think at 5,800, Kenneth Walker. That's the wrong team here. Kenneth Walker, just a player that saves a little bit of salary for me after taking Bijan, and I think he's a really strong play in this matchup with the Saints, who I don't think are any good. Now we have 53.83 left per player. Yeah, I think. Give some thought here. I think I'm going to take another pay up option here. CeeDee Lamb against Chicago. Again, just leaning into that game. Kind of expensive here for CeeDee Lamb, but I think that one could be a really fun shootout. And I think the price is fine for CD. I think Dak is just a good quarterback. And I think as long as Dak is healthy, I think CD is going to feed families. What do we think of the CeeDee Lamb pick or Kenneth Walker? I'd love to hear your thoughts on my picks.
I really like both picks there. Kenneth Walker is a guy who I would expect to sort of come up in our projections a bit depending on Charbonnet's status. But I mean, he's just so good. Like he's so much better than Charbonnet. He's so explosive. And I mean, you're right. This is a great matchup against New Orleans. And then CeeDee Lamb, like you're getting the best receiver in the best game environment against a Chicago defense that just got absolutely shredded by Detroit. So really can't complain about either pick there.
Nice. All right. We'll send it back to Tyler. Tyler, you've got Mason Taylor and JSN with 51.50 left per player. What do you want to do here?
It's a great question, Neil. Yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
I'm over here. Do I take my son, my boy, or do I take his daddy? Those are the questions we ask. I'm going to take his daddy. We're just going to stack the Pukas on this team. I love Devontae Adams, but Puka is still like clearly ahead, the guy in this offense. Only $500 in salary more than JSN. Again, famously PPR. The role is so strong, and he's just going to get peppered. And you know, it's a game that they have to kind of show out for. And I definitely think the Eagles are not like, this is not like an elite defense you got to be afraid of. They definitely have their warts. And I expect the Rams to hopefully put up more of a fight through the air than a Kansas City offense that went in with Hollywood Brown being their wide receiver one.
I know, Tyler, that you were at like 43% Devontae Adams at one point in your best ball portfolio. Where do you end up there?
Yeah, I think I ended up at like probably like close to 40% in the big board when he was like a fifth, fourth round pick. And I think I finished closer to like 30% post draft.
All right, still a fairly high number. Nice.
Feels good.
Yeah,
Just
looking good so
6
far.
red zone targets last week.
Yep,
It's the
they're
expected
peppering
fantasy
him.
point pros taking it to the bank.
Yep. All right. Jake, 54-16 left per player with Mariota, McCaffrey, and Odunze so far.
Yeah, I am. I'm very sad. I really wanted Puka, which is probably a bad sign for Tyler. But
this is terrible news.
yeah, that is pretty terrible news. But I will persevere the best I can. You know what? I'm going to go with a pair of top values here over at Fantasy Points right now. I'm going to go with Devontae Adams and Juwan Johnson. Devontae Adams is absolutely crushing in terms of every sort of expectation stat and is just generally underpriced relative to that. And very similar to Juwan Johnson, where he's earning great usage. I mean, he's always been a target earner. His biggest issue has just been getting out there on the field. And, Foster Moreau's not there. Taysom Hill's not there. Juwan Johnson is basically an every down player at this point. And, he's earning a ton of targets as a result. I think Juwan Johnson is probably going to end up $4,500, maybe a $4,800 tight end here in about a month. So just two really strong values. I really wanted Puka, but like I said, that's probably more reflective of Tyler making a bad pick than anything about my team, hopefully.
That makes me feel great about JT pivot then. Got to go 50-50 on the landmines.
Yeah, there you go.
True.
You
go. Tom says that it is Juwan season. Tom, of course, from the Fantasy Sanctuary with Tyler is in chat. I thought this was past Tom's bedtime. Isn't this like the middle of the night in the UK?
Tom is a fucking night owl. The man never stops grinding.
He needs to get on the creatine so that he can start sleeping.
That's right. That's right. Back to our pre-show conversation. I like the picks. Juwan Johnson, looking great. I regrettably picked him up in a few fantasy leagues last week and then forgot to play him. Just didn't look at my teams, and was kicking myself for that because he did really well.
That's right. Honestly, Neil, I relate to that a lot because I'll be doing like underdog battle royale drafts. I'll be, obviously a ton of DFS stuff that I've got going on every Sunday morning. And then 1 p.m. rolls around and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't set my home league lineup in like the one redraft league I'm in with all my college buddies. And thankfully it hasn't been me too bad yet.
Yeah. I picked, in my defense, I picked up both Juwan Johnson and Harold Fannin and did put Harold Fannin into my lineups because I think in 2 of them I had Kittle. So I did make an adjustment, but then I was thinking I should probably put Juwan Johnson in there. I think he's going to do better this week in this matchup, and just didn't make that swap. So, oh well. Here's what it is.
Really punished you. He dropped that touchdown. He would have.
He dropped one? I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I saw he scored one.
Yeah, he dropped a touchdown in the red zone, fairly certain. And I went too cute. I adjusted. You went full slappy. I put him in my tight end premium super flex spot ahead of Mac Jones and immediately regretted that. And then I felt, more than fine at wash. Be true believers in Juwan season.
Nice. Well, congrats. All right, Tyler, you have 46-40 left per player with 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers so far.
Yeah, it feels like no man's land out here a little bit with the best. I was really hoping to get a little Juwan. So now that Juwan is no Moss, doesn't feel great. There's not like a ton of like cheap tight ends you feel good about with just some of the matchups and quarterbacks, unfortunately. So it makes me tempted to like pay way down and just punt the position, he says, before he gets absolutely buried by the mid-range guys. Let's see. God. Everybody's either injured or just like you're just like asking yourself, is it a mirage or not? Looking at you, Troy Franklin. God. I think I'm gonna save myself a little bit of salary and get a guy who's continuing to see some really strong usage and go Keenan Allen here for my 3rd receiver. He looks like he's picked up right where he's left off with Herbert. The pass rate is insanely high. Denver's defense is good, but they're not like shutting anybody down. We've seen Greg Roman's pass scheme be very, very beneficial for the wide receivers. Ladd, QJ, and Keenan are just eating on this awesome usage. It makes all the sense in the world to kind of lean that way, losing the right tackle and not just keep banging their running backs into the line. And as long as that's the case, I think all three have the ability to feast, and Keenan loves feasting, but especially in the red zone. So as far as his usage goes, I think it's a great value at 4,700. He's also Denver, no matter how good Denver's defense has ever been, Keenan and Herbert have always had Denver's number for him getting there. And we love guys that get there.
Yeah, I think just in general, sort of the Herbert Chargers angle is a really interesting one this week. It seems pretty clear at this point. The meta is going to be paying way down at quarterback, paying way up at running back. And one of the more interesting ways to get away from that is playing like a Justin Herbert, a Lad McConkey, Keenan Allen type of stack. Can even throw QJ in there if you kind of hate yourself. So, yeah, I've been playing around with the idea of, potentially Herbert and like some smaller field stuff, just because it's going to get you really far away from, whatever the default build is this week.
You see Lad is banged up too, like has a bicep injury.
I missed that, I guess.
So we might be able to play Keenan and QJ and feel good about it potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about biceps on a Wednesday. Like Wednesday and Thursday are the new like vet rest days, as long as he's full practice by Friday. But I mean, you're not wrong there that like this Greg Roman offense loves to get cute and see Lad full free, wide open in the red zone and give QJ or Keenan a really tough catch in the corner of the end zone. Then inevitably still gets there to bury your hopes and dreams. But yeah, I mean, like I agree with the Herbert thing. Like I expected the offense to drop off a lot more with Slater being gone, and they've just decided that they avoid doing that by running the Flacco volume offense and just spamming passes. Herbert's very talented, and they've also got him running more than ever. And I think one thing that maybe lines or fantasy people haven't really adjusted to enough is that Herbert's rushing from last year, now healthy and not banged up, is picking right back where it's left off, and that's really viable. Same thing with Mahomes. So like as long as these guys keep rushing and crushing their player prop rushing lines, I think they maintain like really solid plays across all formats.
Yeah, that was something Scott was on coming into the year. Was Herbert is going to be running a lot more this year as he's recovered from the injury. Some of the coach kind of indicated that, and it's just like he's an athletic guy, like capable of those runs. And yeah, it's looking really good so far for Herbert. And yeah, Mahomes also one of those guys so far this year. It is back to me, and I have a few players in mind, but I think I'm just going to. He doesn't even project that well, even point per dollar. But I think Kyle Pitts is just good this year. I think that he's underrated right now. So far in watching Kyle Pitts, I think he looks good. Did you guys not think that he looks athletic this year? Like he looks kind of like what we thought he was going to be coming into the league for the first time. Am I on an island in thinking this?
No, he definitely looks less stuck in cement.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that in this matchup with Carolina, Kyle Pitts takes a big step forward. But then I'm just going to finish it out and take that entire offense. And I'm going to take Drake London as well on this team. So I've got Bijan, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts. Not game stacking, but I am team stacking Atlanta and just hoping that these are the guys that score the fantasy points, because somebody's going to score fantasy points against Carolina. I'm pretty confident in that. And hopefully it's going to be the big three and not just Tyler Algier with multiple rushing touchdowns. We'll see if I get hurt by leaning too much into the team. But I feel good about the Atlanta Falcons going against the Panthers this week. And then it's back to Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a great week for Mooney to get back to where his fans have him and just absolutely bury you in your hubris. That would be a good bit.
It would be. It'd be funny.
Going back, saying, Kyle Pitts, he's finally back, and just goose egging would be delightful.
Yeah. I can't deny that. It would be funny.
Let's see. Man, I love doing this on a Wednesday where you're like, what are the practice reports going to look like? I'm not going to lie. I'm tempted to get real cute here to free up money. We'll see. Doing the math. You know what? Speaking of good bits. Yeah. You know what? Just in case y'all are looking for salary savings, I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. I'm going to get a little cute, and I'm just going to say For flex, we're going to go Dontavian Wicks stepping into the Jaden Reed role versus Cleveland, and we've got some, a little bit of Jacobs popping up on the injury report with an ankle. We've seen this team, go pass heavy when it's necessary, but we saw Wicks just step right back in here. And so, yeah, I mean, would I love to give Neil the ability to build the full slap coffin team? Absolutely. But a little bit of salary relief so I can do what I want at tight end and defense is kind of the way I'm leaning, just because LaFleur seems like he's just going to keep running the vets and doing. It seems like what he's done he's given Golden his chances, but he really trusts early on in the season, year after year, the vets getting more work than we would hope early on, and letting the rookies kind of earn their trust in their role in the starting offense. And so he projects nicely for his price for more targets than maybe. This is probably a really bad 3-man pick, but man, if I win with this, it's going to be delightful. But I really like him in tournaments if you need some salary relief, given, Reed's out and Wicks is famously catching the ball now. He was on the hands team and he hashtag looked good. So, feels like a potentially strong, cheap receiver play.
When you can take a receiver on a run-heavy team in a tough matchup. I was going to say a receiver who can't catch, but apparently that's not true anymore, according to Tyler. So, you just have to do it. You have to lean in on Dontavian Wicks.
Absolutely. When given the opportunity, hit full send.
Yeah. All right. We are back to Jake. 5,600 left per player with a running back, receiver, flex, and defense left.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with a pair of running backs here, round out my running back position and flex. Going to grab Javonte Williams, who is earning pretty awesome, basically bell cow usage in this Dallas offense. Bears run defense has looked really bad. And again, this is a very, very high total game, and a game that we're going to want a lot of exposure to in general. And I'm also going to grab Bucky Irving here, who is very interesting. This is a guy who in the final 8 weeks of last season averaged 19 fantasy points per game on a 51% snap share. He's at a 75% snap share this year. Sure, the offense is going to be less efficient, but we know Bucky Irving is a very good, very talented player. I also think this is a spot where Tampa Bay can lean into their run game a little bit against New York. They've got a decent pass defense. Tyrod Taylor is going to be starting. Buccaneers are pretty big favorites here, so definitely like me some Bucky Irving this week, and I imagine he's going to end up as one of the higher owned running backs of the slate. It'll be interesting because him and JT are basically identically priced, and I think Jonathan Taylor is widely regarded as the better play. So I will be interested to see where ownership ends up shaking out there.
Yeah, that will be interesting because there are some of us who will just never want to play him no matter what. But then other people are, there are, I think, some Javonte bulls out there who are just like, no, he's him. He's proved it now. We can play Javonte all we want. The price seems okay. Tough to argue with it in a 3-man.
Yeah.
I will say Javonte has been one of the most efficient running backs in the NFL through 2 weeks, which, I said this, I do a DFS early look with Grant Barfield on Mondays. And, if you told me Javonte was earning 16, 17, 18 expected fantasy points per game, I'd say he's probably averaging 15 DraftKings fantasy points per game. No, not even close. He's blowing his expectation out of the water. Maybe this is a J.K. Dobbins situation where he just can't quite sustain it over the course of the season. But either way, it's a great spot for him.
Well, I mean, he's converted both of his touchdown attempts, which I assume plays into that. I don't know how many expected fantasy points you get for a carry from the 1 yard line, but he's gotten 6 full from those. And then the 30-yard carry, whatever he had, that I can't imagine that was too many expected fantasy points. So it's, those 3 plays, I feel like he's just, I'm sure though they make up for a good portion of his fantasy points over expectation would be my guess. But yeah, he's just getting way better volume than anybody was anticipating.
Yeah.
Good for him. I mean, I hope it doesn't last. To be clear, I hope that Miles Sanders takes over because I was not a Javonte Williams drafter at all, and it's killing me right now.
So I have bad news for you, bud. They gave Zeke 10 weeks before they put him in the dirt. So Javonte is looking like not husk of what was. It's going to be a while.
Yeah, I mean it. Seems like it's probably going to be a while. Yeah, but I don't think he's going to keep up the efficiency. But this is a great spot to see it against the Chicago defense. If he's going to do it anywhere, this is a good spot for it. Again, people asking, do we answer chat? Tyler's in chat answering questions as we're doing the show. He's answering. It's a little bit tougher for me as I'm trying to navigate the screens. Tyler, we are back to you. 49.33 left per player with a quarterback, tight end, and defense left. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, so you eat the very disgusting Vegemite that is Dontavian Wicks at flex in order to eat the delicious sirloin steak that is Trey McBride at tight end.
Nice. 5,700. I don't know what to make of the San Francisco defense. Do we think it's going to be good?
I don't think it's really going to matter. Trey McBride's going to get targets. He's going to get his stuff at a volatile position in a 3-man. I'll take the projected delightfulness that is running all the routes and seeing the best target share of any tight end through 2 weeks at 28.6%, if my memory serves correct, which leads the league, right ahead of guys like Jawan and co, especially as Brock Bowers nurses a PCL injury that the doctors think will take another week to 2 till he looks closer to full physical form, and who knows how long it takes for the team to get his snaps, which they were higher this week than week 1, so make sense. But it's as far as usage and underlying metrics and hashtag good at the game, he remains a really strong tight end play on the slate when Sneaky King Jawan is not available.
Nice. All right. Yeah, I think it's a strong pick. Now I have to make 2 of my 3 picks. I've got a wide receiver, a flex, and a defense left to go. And I know who I want to take with one of my picks. I'm just going to trust my guy. Debro was mentioning that DJ Moore actually should do really well against Dallas, who plays a lot of single high, and their defense has just been terrible this year. Also, love the leverage on Jake's Romo Dunze pick. DJ Moore actually more expensive than Romo Dunze, despite having a worse role so far this year. But again, Debro telling me DJ Moore just crushes against single high. Dallas is going to play a lot of single high. So I'm going to lean into the matchup here with Dallas and play some DJ Moore, just leaning into the best game environments here. Now we have 4,500 left per pick. So I could take a flex. All right, who do I want? A lot of good picks available here.
I disagree. I only saw the one. His name is Wicks.
Yeah. Wicks is starting a decision.
While Neil thinks, I'll talk about the DJ Moore pick really quick. I think he's going to be a very interesting way to get a little bit lower ownership in your lineup on this Dallas-Chicago game because, Odunze, CD, Pickens, I think Dak and Caleb, Javonte are all going to be very high owned. I'll be really interested to see where the ownership projections come in on a guy like DJ Moore because I think everybody wants to go to Odunze for obvious reasons. But DJ Moore is still capable, still earning, solid volume, and obviously has the matchup there, like Neil laid out.
Yeah,
and you guys took all the players that I want in the price range I'm looking at. So congrats on that, I guess.
And somehow you'll still win, and it won't matter.
Yeah,
exactly.
Neil, this doesn't matter at this point.
I do know that.
You don't want any of the players that I want, and the guest is more iffy.
All right. I guess I'm gonna pay lower than I think I need to, but I think Tony Pollard at some point is going to score fantasy points in this role. So I'm just going to take Tony Pollard and his elite role and think that the Colts have given up a lot of yards on the ground, at least. I think Pollard should at some point break out, and I'm hopeful that it's going to be this week. So that's where I'm going to go, leaving myself 3,300 for a defense. I'm going to send it back to Tyler.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and take the Seahawks against Spencer Rattler. 2 of his linemen are DNP today, early in the week. One is limited with a toe, so potentially a fine but not great quarterback with one of the lowest projected team totals on the week, going in with potentially 2 or 3 linemen missing against one of the more underrated elite front sevens in the league. Sets up for a lot of turnovers, a lot of sacks, And, again, you pay down with Wicks to unlock some elite upside at tight end and defense to really give you a nice leg up on your competition.
Man, I cannot wait to watch Tyler. He's going to pick Daniel Jones. Like, oh, I'm going to get all the rushing touchdowns on the Colts. He projects so well. Look at Daniel Jones. Then after the week, it's going to be like, Daniel Jones scored 6 fantasy points. How did I not see this coming? I mean, the whole thing. It's just,
that's okay. Hey, if Daniel Jones scores 6 points and JT goes nuclear with 40, I don't care. That's an average of 25 a pop, buddy.
I mean, Tyler, you're speaking with so much confidence. I think we all know at this point, Tennessee's going to win this game. Tony Pollard's going to score 42 DraftKings points, and Neil's going to beat me by 3. It's going to be.
And you know what? My best ball bags will praise God for Pollard finally getting there after seeing awesome usage but no fucking targets. So I'll take it. You know what? Again, I'm all about charity, and I'm praying to the karma gods that one door opens and another door closes, and that's just how it goes.
All right. Well, I look forward to seeing how this all plays out. But who knows? Maybe he's going to go a different direction at quarterback. He's got 5,500, can take any quarterback he wants for that price. Jake, it is back to you for your final 2 picks. You've got 4,600 left per player with a wide receiver and defense remaining.
Yeah, I think I didn't see any, I was playing around with some of the cheaper defenses, and I didn't see any wide receivers in that range that are still on the board that really appealed to me. So I'm actually going to pay all the way up. I'm going to grab the Packers defense. They look awesome. That pass rush looks incredible. Cleveland looks terrible. So this is a perfect matchup. The best possible defense potentially against the worst possible offense. Cleveland's implied total is like 16 points. So feel pretty good about that. Generally, I have been paying down at defense in this format, and that's generally something that I do quite a bit of in my normal DFS lineups, but I really like the Packers defense this week. And then I'm going to round it out with a guy who's not a particularly good value. Let me make sure there's no one else who's like really popping. Oh God, I'm not taking Quentin Johnston. You can't make me do that.
I hope he's the guy you need this week. And just,
that would be funny. You've talked so much trash about him, and he's been a guy you really wanted both weeks so far.
That's a direction I'd honestly consider going in tournaments. I mean, we'll see how lad status shakes out, but I am quite interested in Justin Herbert and his stacking partners. I'm going to go with Ricky Pearsall. Use up all my salary here. Solid roll. There's really only 3 places targets can go in the San Francisco offense, and it's Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, and Christian McCaffrey. I already have McCaffrey, so might as well grab the other guy who's in line for potentially 10 targets, which is pretty solid usage at a $5,500 price tag. I don't love the pick, but honestly, pretty much everyone that's left on the board, I feel very iffy about at this point. So totally fine with Pearsall here.
Jake, how can you forget Jake Tonjes, who of course scored a touchdown when you needed a McCaffrey touchdown to beat me in week 1? You're forgetting one of the clear targets for the
Sorry, I'm more of a Luke Farrell guy myself.
Right.
So that's why I was disrespecting Jake Tonjes.
Can I just say how insane it is to me that Ricky Pearsall is still more expensive than Juwan Jennings, who is doing better than him in every metric that exists right now? That's incredible.
I mean, we saw it last season too. Like Juwan is like almost definitely outright the better player. I think the one thing you could give Pearsall is, maybe it'll just take time for him to emerge as the better player, because he did get shot in the chest last year.
It's been over a year though.
It has. So
I've heard gunshot wounds, I think, take 2 to 3 weeks to recover from. So
he famously had all summer healthy from like mid-June to now to be the only wide receiver that was healthy that entire time, practicing the entire time. But you're right. Maybe it's just a Mac Jones problem. Certainly he didn't get a shot with Purdy with a banged up Juwan week 1. He didn't have a shot with Mac Jones, but maybe this is the week where they combine, a little one half of Mac, one half of Purdy. Maybe that's what you need.
Could be what you need. Tyler, are you doing Daniel Jones? Or do you have something?
We're doing Daniel Jones, baby. We're going all in on the Colts. The rushing upside. I don't think we've ever seen a more easy button offense this side of Kyle Shanahan and KOC. Tennessee's defense is nothing to write home about, and the only way this burns me is a classic divisional matchup that is much uglier than we expect. But like I said, Daniel Jones' week to implode was last week versus the vaunted Denver defense, and that didn't happen. To many haters and losers' surprise. So not expecting anything drastically awful this week versus Tennessee. And with that, he will have a Justin Fields-like game where he, hurts his ankle and throws a couple bad picks and gets benched for AR and make me look silly. But if not, this is looking like a team with some juice.
Yeah, I mean, he, like you said, he did well against the Broncos. Can probably do well against Tennessee. I'm Kai asked, are you usually naked quarterbacks in small field or just the snake format? I don't force the stacks in a 3-man. I think depends on how small field. Like at some point, I would prefer a stack the larger you get. But yeah, it's one where I'm just like I'd be happy to have a stack quarterback. I've done it in a lot of these, but it's not something that I force. And Jake, same page.
Yeah, pretty much the exact same thing. I will say that in like smaller field DFS tournaments, I mean, especially in NFL, I rarely play anything, less than 100 entries. I'm almost always stacking my quarterback. Same thing with like, even UFL. I'm generally very pro quarterback stack. I think, when a guy's like as cheap as Marcus Mariota, maybe you could get away from it. Could also maybe argue for it on offenses that are extremely spread out, like the Bills. But I played some Josh Allen last week and still rolled with some Josh Palmer and Keon Coleman in those lineups. So generally when your quarterback scores 30 points, he's going to bring somebody along with him, unless it's like on the back of 3 rushing touchdowns or something like that.
Yeah. All right, final pick here, and it's a tough decision for me. So I could play Colts against my Tony Pollard. I don't think I want to do that. I could play the Falcons. I'm thinking about doing that and just hoping that the Falcons crush Carolina. I think that's where I'm leaning. I think I'm just going to go with the Falcons and have 4 Falcons players on my team. We saw them pick off the great JJ McCarthy multiple times on Sunday night. So if they can pick off JJ McCarthy, I'm confident they can also pick off Bryce Young. So there you have it. The final pick. I left $100 on the table. Before we get out of here, we got to just do a quick recap of our teams. So Jake, I'll let you go first. How do you feel about how this draft went for you? Tell us the story of your team.
Yeah, I mean, normally this is the point in the show where I say like I feel great, my team's fantastic. After an 0-2 start, my confidence is a little shook, but really I just wanted Puka Nacua. I'm still so upset that Tyler got Puka Nacua. That probably means Puka's going to score 9 fantasy points this week though. So I'm trying to taper my expectations a little bit. I'm very happy that I got Marcus Mariota. I mean, as projected values go at this point, he is like easily the best play of the week. I got 3 of the top 6 running backs by, the fantasy points projected values, at this point. Odunze and Devontae Adams, I feel really good about. Pearsall, more okay, just sort of filling out the salary. And then, I mean, we all know the Green Bay Packers are going to score 20 fantasy points this week against Joe Flacco and company. Micah Parsons, probably anywhere from 5 to 10 sacks. We'll have to see. But yeah, I feel pretty good about this team. I would feel great about my team, Neil, if I got Puka Nacua. But like I said, that's not exactly a good sign for Tyler that I really wanted him in this format.
Terrible sign for Tyler. And you did get Devontae Adams, who was one of the better value wide receivers on the slate. So some nice mid-ranges across the board here. Tyler, how about you? You got the Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor stacked up. How do you feel about the team overall?
Yeah, this is either going to be this is the fork in the road team. We either took all the right 2v2s and we win all the money, or we bamboozled ourselves and took the wrong fork in the road. As I answered start, sit, and trade questions in chat like a good little ADHD chat rat. But I feel really strong about the values we got. Really hard toss-ups. It's tough to get sniped on, Mariota and, Jawan. But I think we made some good pivots and, no excuses. Play like champions, as Levitan says. We trust the game plan and we just got to go execute.
Yep. I've accepted at this point that nothing matters. I'm just going to win, like no matter what I do. So I didn't put a ton of thought into this. It was just kind of threw it together. I don't know. Seems fine. I just am confident that I'm going to win because that's just what happens on this show. But if I do win, as usual, it's going to be because the Falcons do really well. I've got Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and the Falcons defense really leaned in there. Also played parts of the Dallas-Chicago game with CeeDee Lamb and DJ Moore, and then one-offs of Kenneth Walker against the hapless Saints. We got Carson Wentz, who is going to breathe life into the Vikings, and then Tony Pollard, I think, is due for some positive regression in his fantasy points, given that Tyjae Spears is out and he just has a really great role there. So don't really have to say much more when you just win all the time. So yeah, that's why I'm going to win this time once again. All right. Before we get out of here, Tyler, what do you have going on this week? Are you doing a Typhel Tower watch along, something like that? What do you have coming up?
So we have Toxic Tower.
Toxic Tower, new name. I forgot. New name.
New easily search name, even though it's still not popping up on anything. So we are going live on the Toxic Tower right after this. So come check it out if you want more best ball, DFS, BR talk, or if you want, your random start, sit, and trade questions answered. We'll give it to you all live, raw, and unfiltered, for better or for worse. So come check that out.
Very cool. I didn't realize you're going tonight. That's awesome. All right. Jake, how about you? What do you have coming up?
Well, I've got Cashing Points, 7 p.m. on Fridays, generally with me, Graham Barfield, and Ryan Heath. Sometimes we get Scott Barrett to fill in as well. But that's just like our overarching DFS show. I know it's Neil, sadly, no longer the flagship DFS show. You have dethroned us over at Cashing Points, but still does pretty well over on the YouTube channel, and I know a lot of people like it. Go game by game, talk about our favorite plays on the slate. Graham and Ryan always have some really good matchup notes in that one. So if you're playing any DFS, I would highly recommend Cashing Points. That's free on the Fantasy Points YouTube channel. I know, maybe next year we're going to paywall it. A lot of people in Discord have said, why is this not behind the paywall? So that's probably a glowing endorsement, I would say.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, I'll be helping Scott Barrett out with his weekly DFS slate breakdown, published under his name, but I always have a pretty heavy hand in some of the writing and some of the rankings there. So definitely check out those two pieces of content, and all my work's over at fantasypoints.com.
Yeah, find Jake at Fantasy Points. I've got, of course, my Thursday Night Football article coming out tomorrow on Fantasy Points. I'll also be on my own channel in the Flannelverse doing multiple shows tomorrow about the Thursday Night Football slate. Back with Scott on Friday for Outside the Box. So those are the upcoming things you can look out for from me. But you can find me on Twitter at PlayerQDFS, Jake on Twitter at Jake Tribby, and Tyler at emo__cowboy. Go check him out. And make sure you go check him out in the Toxic Tower right now. He posted it in chat for anybody interested, or just search Toxic Tower if you want to find it. All right, guys, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next week.
What?
Why are you shaking your head? You're welcome.